Have you ever wondered what it'd be like to permafreeze every enemy Gepard touches? Have you ever wondered what it would be like if Gepard actually had enough speed to actually move? Have you ever wondered what it would be like if Gepard actually did damage? Have you ever wondered what it was like to waste all of your fuel on these said things? Okay, out of all the stuff I said, maybe it's not the damage that I have because my relics aren't that good. But if you're wondering about the first two things I said, and all the fuel I wasted on this stupidity, well then, my friend, you have clicked on the right video. Welcome! But first, a disclaimer. This video is a video I do not recommend you try at home. What I'm about to say and demonstrate is probably a mismanagement of all of your resources. If you were serious about pushing Memory of Chaos or just overall min-maxing your account, you're better off spending it on traces and levels instead. Alright, disclaimer freaking over. Honestly, who the frick cares about min-maxing your account in a stupid gacha game without an end game anyway? Just play who the fuck you want, build who the fuck you want, and stick this broom up your asshole. That whole spiel might be a little too woke for YouTube, but anyway, today I'm about to show to you the ultimate Gepard build. And it starts with effect hit rate. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. It's your Slime King, Dojima Man, and welcome to another video. Majority of people would build Gepard as the ultimate tank. Just use the def 4-piece set. Use all def pieces for all the main stats of your relics and planar ornaments and call it a day. However, defense is overrated. Having a defense main stat in one of your relics for, let's say, for example, my level 75 Gepard with a level 76 Landau's Choice merely gives you 54% of his 1018 base defense, which is around a 658 EHP shield at level 8, talent level plus the flat bonus. Without the defense main stat, the shield gives you 427 EHP plus the flat bonus at level 8 talent. Think about that for a sec. Would that extra 200 HP prevent your units from dying on a hard floor in Memory of Chaos? The answer is no. If 200 EHP was enough for you to not die, then the floor never really needed that kind of investment in defense or survivability anyway, because you can just invest in damage to kill it faster. Now that can be said for everything, but the thing is, at a certain point, your relics and your damage add up in certain floors in MOC that make it better or easier. However, if you have enough investment, you don't need the survivability in certain floors, and if that 200 EHP is something that you need, then you probably don't need it, is what I'm trying to say. And if that actually makes sense. Okay? The more important component, though, of Gepard's ultimate is the flat bonus you get when leveling up. At level 8, it gives a flat 532 bonus. This adds more survivability than any defense main stat ever could. Of course, having a 5-star weapon that gives more defense could make the shield stronger, but the essence is still the same. What's more important is the flat bonus you get by leveling up the ultimate and the 4-piece effect of a Knight of Purity Palace. That isn't to say defense isn't an important main stat for Gepard, is that you shouldn't go all defense on all of his main stats, especially when you get defense on his subs instead. So, that being said, what should be his relic's main stats then? In order to understand that, let's look at Gepard's skill in closer detail. As of the making of this video, Gepard's skill, Daunting Smite, is the only reliable and consistent way to freeze an enemy with its base chance of 65%. The fact that it doesn't need energy, like March's Burst, to proc freeze makes it a reliable form of CC, granted you have enough skill points to spend for it. This entire concept is what spawned the question in my mind. What if Gepard could just perma-freeze the enemy with his skill? The true endgame Gepard build isn't a def build that tries to go all out in tankiness, because having a big shield won't save you in dire situations. But what does save you is a form of crowd control, and freezing an enemy is just that. Freezing an enemy can buy your whole team time to get that last sliver of energy to cast an ultimate to save you, or kill the enemy, or gives you that one RNG's role to implant the weakness you want with Silver Wolf, for example. And thus, effect hit rate should be used on your body. This raises the 65 base chance floor of this skill and brings you closer to perma-freeze status. Obviously, this still depends on the effect res, the buff res of your enemies, but let's not care about the semantics, alright? Let's just pump as much effect hit rate as possible on your subs and on your main stat to achieve maximum freeze. And so that idea is how I ended up with a super secret Gepard build you probably will not have the guts to ever do right now because fuel is just so limited. My effect hit rate is 111.5%. And I freeze everything Gepard touches, except for World 6 in Simulated Universe, because frick you, Cocolia. But for real though, I want to get in your pants, girl. I ended up with this build, but that is not where it ends. There's another core component to this build, and that is Gepard's atrocious speed value. Now, speed is a very important stat in Honkai Star Rail. It is so important, in fact, that everyone except Clara wants speed boots. Unless you have an Asta that just bursts every single rotation, in which case, okay, maybe you don't want speed boots. But for everyone that doesn't have an Asta like that, everyone wants speed boots, except Clara. Gepard has a speed value of 92. That is extremely low and slow. The problem is, once an enemy is unfrozen, their actions are advanced forward. It's a way to basically prevent abuse from Bill like this. They can potentially perma-freeze an enemy with just a skill. If actions aren't forwarded, enemies would just be frozen until dead, and the game is basically broken. So why am I bring up Gepard's speed value when it doesn't matter anyway because you can't perma-freeze anything? Well, in order to get as close as possible to perma-freeze status, Gepard has to attack first. And in order to attack first, Gepard has to be fast. And everyone except Clara wants speed boots and or Asta. And as such, the last core component in this build is giving Gepard speed boots and pairing him with Asta. There are two advantages to having more speed for Gepard. One, you act faster and sometimes faster than your enemy, therefore allowing you to freeze them before they act. Two, by acting more often, because you have more speed, you generate more energy. Even if you aren't using skill points for his skill, therefore you use your ultimate more frequently. And then there's certain niche scenarios that I have not personally tested because my ass is not invested, that if you just fucking pump up your speed to the nth degree, I'm talking probably 160 to 180 speed, you might be able to outcompete the actions advanced by being unfrozen. If the enemies are unfrozen, and their actions are forwarded, but you have enough speed to overtake it, potentially you can perma-freeze a unit for 2 to 3 turns if you have enough speed. But that is a build for a more invested Slime King Dejima man, which I am not today, obviously. Okay. Remember, when I said defense was overrated, it's because there are other stats more worth to be prioritized that actually add value to your team. Now, this comes back to what I just said. In this Gepard build, it's effect hit rate and speed. Of course, you still need defense, as Gepard's shield does scale off of it, and you put defense on your planar ornaments this time. And that most responsible thing to do is to give him the 2-piece ornament set that gives you defense, and more defense, the higher your effect hit rate is. Or rather, when your effect hit rate reaches 50%. But if you thought we were done with this build, I'm going to say the responsible thing by getting more defense or get a little chonky shield. No, we are going further than just effect, hit rate, and speed. Remember, we want Gepard to also deal damage. Yes, one of Gepard's traces gives you attack based off a percentage of his defense, 35%. So it makes sense. It just makes sense to build more defense, because with that trace, defense is equal to damage. But I also want more effect hit rate. And obviously, attack percent is still better than just defense because you're only converting a certain percentage of your defense into attack. It's just double dipping. But I just told you a minute ago that defense is fucking overrated. So why are we building more defense on our 2-piece planar ornament set? So we give Gepard the effect hit rate 2-piece planar ornament set that increases attack up to 25%, which we are most definitely hitting with our effect hit rate. And now combine all of that and the Gepard now that we have still deals no damage. I went on that whole spiel building up my build only for us, you, the viewer, to be disappointed because I have effect hit rate, I have speed, but I still deal no damage. Is this really the perfect Gepard build? Well, the thing is, I am running 2 defense main stats on my planar ornaments, and I kind of don't have any crit on my substats. So my Gepard's rocking 5% crit rate and like 60% crit damage or something stupid. But I'm taking it because my Gepard CC is basically perma-freeze status. He gets his ultimate back up reliably and realistically speaking. If I wanted him to do damage, I would only need to make 2 changes. Number 1, change the defense planar sphere into ice damage bonus. And number 2, level up my Yukong so she can give crit rate and crit damage to Gepard, therefore bypassing the need for crit substats. Theoretically speaking, that should make Gepard's actual damage deal actual damage while providing a shield and CC all at the same time. But as I told you, I already wasted all of my resources farming this stupid defense domain to freaking get Gepard's relics. I spent all my fuel to get planar ornaments in the past 2 weeks as fodder to just plus 15 all of this shit. And what do I have to show for it? Well, this Gepard build actually helped me get 24 stars on MOC. It helped me get that final last star on floor 8. Still can't do floor 9 because I just don't have that damage. But I'm lasting a long time. I'm surviving a lot, but I don't have the damage. I mean, my Celia has a damage, but as I told you in the start, like, you should have just freaking spent it on your traces, But I know 24 stars ain't good. The thing is, though, I prioritize this stupid Gepard build, instead of, I don't know, I could have probably just maxed out my Sealy or actually leveling up my Jing Yuan's traces, who I actually use as a DPS in Memory of Chaos. That could have actually helped. But the fact that this Gepard build works and my survivability has increased, and that even at MOC 9, I don't feel like I'm in the threat of getting killed, it just goes to show that defense isn't the answer to being more survivable. It's not as cookie cutter as you think because it's speed. That is the answer to all of these questions. And that's why Asus is skyrocketing everything. It's because you give speed, So it's actually probably a combination, a myriad of factors. But for Gepard, it's effect hit rate for CC and speed for more energy. Now, not everyone can have CC, but everyone can have speed for theoretically more energy. So, if you pick up anything in this video, please, just do not build pure defense Gepard. I know I said don't try this at home, but try it at home, okay? Trust me. I wasted all this fuel to know that you are not wasting fuel if you give Gepard this kind of a build. And that is enough for me. Catch me live on twitch.tv/TheGMan. Like the video, bitches. This is our parting farewell.
Analyze the target before you make a play with action. Seize the moment.
I heckin' love this game, baby! Slime King. Twitch. Discord. Celebratory Jackie.